everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I am bringing you another book versus movie vlog, and this time I'm doing The Omen. So The Omen is my final part in the Unholy Trinity. This was a book that came out in the 70s, and it focuses on the Antichrist and the coming of the end and all of that side of things. So this is very much a religious horror book. It's been on my radar for a while now. As part of my horror classic catch-up, this is one of those books. And the second one that I'm reading this year, I think. So really intrigued, and I'm so excited to read this book, watch the original, and also see the new one that's coming out. So this is very much a supernatural read, and it's obviously old, so a lot of people already know this story. So I will check back in with you again soon when I am slightly further into the book, and then probably give you the round out before checking out the movie. So I will catch you in a bit. So I'm now just gone 9 chapters into this book, and whilst I'm really close to the end, I still wanted to jump in here and give you some of my initial thoughts on the story. So the book overall is very religious. It's kind of similar to The Exorcist as well in terms of its descriptions on the supernatural and how it relates to religion. So it's interesting in that sense. And also I think that this is very detailed. It definitely doesn't hold back on its treatment of children and what actually happens in this book. It's very gross and dark. So there's a lot happening, and I'm kind of shocked by it because it is from the 70s, and I feel like horror was just beginning and taking a stance as its own genre. And The Exorcist was something that kind of edged on the side of darker material, because of the things that she was saying and doing in that book. But The Omen, I think, just went off the edge in terms of how it describes children, violence against children, and how they view this child as the Antichrist and all of this stuff. It's very twisted, so I am enjoying the book. And I do have like 3 more chapters left until the end, and I'm intrigued to see how this ends and where it goes, because at this point it's very detailed, graphic, and horrific. I'll check back in a bit. So I just finished The Omen a couple days ago and getting around to filming my thoughts now. So initially I was really excited for this book simply because of how similar it had been to The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. To me, this kind of felt like a follow-on from Rosemary's Baby. I'm not sure why. I think it's because Rosemary's Baby stops when the child is born, and then this is kind of picked up in the aftermath, like 5 years later when the kid is 5 and the weird shit starts to happen. And I really liked that element because it kind of develops the story really well. I really love how this was written. I was able to follow this story along The plot was decent, and yeah, I think overall the concept I can get behind, and I enjoyed reading. But for me, I think how heavily influenced by religion this is kind of made my enjoyment a lot less than the other books, because I think the Omen has a lot more religious content than the other books I've read in this series. So I don't really relate to the religious side of this, but I can see as a horror story why this is so enjoyed and how it's become like a foundation within this genre. I will say that this is very dark. There's a lot of descriptions of child death and child murder. There's mentions of abortion in here. So it covers a lot of dark topic matters, which I'm quite surprised by a book written in the 70s to have that much detail and that much description of these terrible acts. Some of it did kind of get me. I had to take a step back and yeah, I mean, I could just picture it and it was kind of disturbing. But that is the point, so I guess it's done its job. But other than that, I think that it was a decent read. I don't think it's like my favorite out of the ones that I've read for this series, and it's not one I think I will return to. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I have enjoyed the concept of this book and the plot. I just didn't really connect with the religious side of this, and I think that's where it drops for me, really. I did listen along with the audiobook, and the audiobook uses a different name than that's written in the book. So Robert is our main character, but the audiobook kept saying Jeremy, and it was kind of off-putting a lot of the time. I didn't see the need for the change. So with that, I don't really know what else to say other than it was an okay read. I'm giving it 3 stars. So this book is probably sat at the bottom of this unholy trinity of books. But I am excited to watch the newer movie that's coming out, the first Omen, just to see how well that stands up to the book and the movie, which I have watched at this point. So I will tell you about my thoughts on the movie now. So I went into the movie with my ideas from the book, and whilst the book was an average read for me, I don't think that it was really a standout. So I wasn't anticipating this movie as much as the other ones, but I think that it delivered well. Obviously, there was a lot of differences between the book and the movie in terms of how much content was shown and how much of it they missed out. That was something that I noticed a lot, especially within like the start of the movie. There was a lot cut out, but we do get a lot of that interaction that we've seen in the book. The visceral descriptions of everything that's going on about this child. I didn't enjoy watching the child act. I don't think that he really played the role well, like being this demented child of like the Antichrist. I just didn't see that in the movie. And I think that's where the movie was a letdown for me. I think if the child was a bit creepier, maybe the story would have been easier to connect with and I could get a bit spooked by the movie. But I don't think that the acting was all that great. But I loved the music. The score of this movie was incredible. The compositions that were used in this movie were just great, and I think it really added to the spookiness that kind of lacked in a way. So the music helped. But yeah, I think it was decent for when it was published. I want to watch the 2000s remake. I know that people say that is not as good, but I do want to check that out as well. And then check out the latest movie as well. But I will leave you with the fact that if you haven't read the unholy trinity of books. That's the Omen, The Exorcist, and Rosemary's Baby. I do think that they are necessary in order to kind of get a well-rounded idea of this horror genre that we all love and read in, because it does make you aware of what is being created today has been influenced by those books, and obviously all other classic horror books that we know and love. So this series has really opened my eyes, and I'm really excited to delve into other horror books that are considered vintage and classics. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.